The invaders came from the stars. Ships larger than cities, gleaming metal giants that tore through the sky with the promise of destruction. The first sighting was from a military satellite, a flash of light too bright to ignore, and then the radio signals, encrypted transmissions that no Earth technology could decode. But it didn't take long for the world to realize what was happening. In a matter of hours, every major government on Earth issued warnings. The first blast from the sky landed in the Pacific, sending a shockwave that rattled every structure along the west coast. The alien ships didn't stop there. They unleashed devastating energy blasts across the globe, each one sending seismic tremors that reached the farthest corners of the Earth. Humanity wasn't ready for this. For decades, humanity had studied the stars, but no one truly believed Earth would be invaded. It was always a story told in movies and books, a myth, a fantasy. The military response was hasty. The best Earth had to offer, fighter jets, artillery, rockets, was no match for the alien technology. The invaders' weapons could disintegrate entire cities with a single shot. Major capitals fell in the first days, leaving humanity scattered and broken. Despite this, Earth fought back. It was an instinct, a spark that couldn't be extinguished, even when everything seemed lost. But no one had any illusions. They knew the odds. The aliens were powerful. And Earth was fragile. Yet, as humanity fell to its knees, something unexpected happened. It was a quiet thing at first, like the stirring of a storm far off on the horizon. Humans didn't retreat into despair. They didn't run. Instead, in the midst of the chaos and destruction, they came together. Across the world, in every ruined city, in the remnants of every demolished building, humans began to unite. No matter their nationality, religion, or beliefs, they were all faced with the same enemy. And they weren't just going to lie down and die. Scientists, engineers, and soldiers, everyone who could contribute, set to work. They scoured the wreckage of fallen ships, desperate for any scrap of alien technology that might offer a clue about how to fight back. It wasn't just about survival anymore. The people of Earth were angry. They had been attacked, and they weren't going to let it stand. The invaders may have underestimated humanity's resilience, but the invaders were about to learn a hard lesson. The first breakthrough came from an unlikely source, a group of hackers in the ruins of what was once Chicago. They had infiltrated the enemy's communication network. It wasn't much, but it was enough to make the first move. A small strike, barely noticed by the aliens, but it was a sign. Humanity wasn't going to roll over. As the weeks passed, Earth's resistance became stronger. Every hidden base, every underground bunker, every moment of defiance spread the word: humanity wasn't ready to die. They were ready to fight. And so, in the shadows of destruction, in the silence of a broken world, the first spark of rebellion began to burn. The alien invaders had come to conquer Earth, but they had no idea what they were up against. Because while they had the power to destroy cities, they had never faced a force like humanity. And that was their biggest mistake. In the months following the initial onslaught, the alien invaders found themselves facing an unexpected challenge. What had begun as a scattered and uncoordinated response from Earth had evolved into something far more dangerous. Small pockets of resistance had turned into organized cells, and those cells were spreading like wildfire. Humanity, once helpless in the face of a superior foe, had found its strength in unity and ingenuity. Everywhere, it seemed, people were learning how to fight back. The world's surviving military forces, now operating out of secret bunkers and underground bases, had established a communication network. It wasn't flawless, but it allowed them to coordinate their efforts, share intelligence, and plan attacks. They began to strike where the aliens least expected it, the heart of their own forces. Using whatever technology they could scavenge from the wreckage of alien ships, humans reverse-engineered weapons capable of piercing the invaders' armor. They developed crude yet effective explosives, hacked into the alien drones patrolling the streets, and, most notably, launched a series of guerrilla raids against key infrastructure. The invaders had no idea how to combat these unconventional tactics. It was clear that the humans weren't just trying to survive, they were adapting, learning, and evolving. But it wasn't just the military that was fighting. Ordinary citizens, farmers, factory workers, doctors, and engineers had joined the ranks of the resistance. Some fought with weapons, some with knowledge, some with the sheer willpower that only desperation can bring. The alien forces had vastly underestimated the adaptability of humanity. Every person, every community, was contributing in ways that no outsider would have ever thought possible. One such group emerged from the wreckage of what had once been the United States. A coalition of scientists, former soldiers, and tech experts banded together to form the first independent resistance group. They called themselves the Vanguard. They were small, yet highly effective. Their most important achievement came when they captured an alien commander, a being far more intelligent and calculating than the invaders' rank-and-file soldiers. Interrogating this commander revealed a crucial weakness in the alien forces, their supply chain. The invaders relied on a central hub for their weapons and energy production, a massive space station hidden in Earth's orbit. The Vanguard didn't hesitate. They began planning an operation to infiltrate and sabotage the station. It was a suicide mission, but one that could turn the tide of the war. In the meantime, the resistance on Earth continued to grow. Every day, more people joined the fight. News of their successes, no matter how small, spread across the planet, fueling more defiance. Cities that had once been devastated were slowly being reclaimed. From the ashes, humanity was rising. But the invaders weren't idle. They knew the humans were adapting, and they began to evolve their strategies. They deployed more advanced weapons, intensified their patrols, and hunted down resistance leaders with brutal efficiency. In response, Earth's resistance did what it always did, adapted. They struck quickly, vanished into the shadows, and reappeared elsewhere, relentless in their pursuit of victory. In the heart of one of Earth's largest remaining cities, a woman named Commander Rachel Duval stood before a war council. She had been leading one of the largest human militias for months. Her reputation had spread as one of the fiercest leaders, and her soldiers trusted her completely. Today, however, was a different kind of meeting. This was a strategy session, one that could alter the course of the war. The Vanguard has just confirmed they're ready to strike, she said, her voice calm but steely. We're going to hit them where it hurts. We're going to take down that station, or at least cripple it enough that they can't use it to control their forces. It's our best chance to hit them where it counts. Her words were met with nods from her fellow commanders. The risk was immense, but the potential reward could shift the balance of power. The aliens had thought they could conquer Earth without resistance, but now, the humans had discovered a way to fight back. The room fell silent as everyone prepared for the coming battle. It was a turning point. The humans had been beaten and crushed, but now they were ready to fight with everything they had. If they could destroy the space station, they would cripple the invaders' supply lines and, just maybe, buy enough time to launch a full-scale offensive. Rachel Duval's eyes narrowed as she looked at the faces of those around her. They were ready for whatever came next. The alien invaders had underestimated Earth's determination, and now they were about to find out just how far humanity was willing to go. The invasion had sparked chaos, fear, and devastation across the globe. Cities lay in ruin, once thriving nations now fractured under the weight of alien occupation. Yet, as the months wore on, a fierce resolve began to burn in the hearts of humanity. Earth was not defeated. Not yet. The operation to infiltrate the alien space station had begun, and it was the most daring strike humanity had ever attempted. The Vanguard had spent weeks planning, meticulously gathering intelligence, and coordinating with other resistance groups. They had no choice but to act quickly. Earth's fighters knew that if they waited too long, the aliens would crush every last shred of resistance, leaving Earth's people at their mercy. The plan was simple but risky: penetrate the alien station, plant explosives, and disrupt their ability to launch devastating strikes from orbit. Commander Rachel Duval stood in the control room of a hidden base in the mountains of what had once been the United States. She watched as the final details of the plan were laid out on a holographic map before her. A team of elite soldiers, engineers, and experts from every corner of Earth had volunteered to take part in this suicide mission. They would enter the heart of enemy territory, deep in space, and disable a facility that was essential to the invaders' war effort. Duval knew the odds were slim. The alien station, named Zar, was guarded by more than just weapons. It was a fortress in space. Their technology was beyond anything Earth had ever seen. However, the humanity of those who had volunteered to fight, those who had lost everything and had nothing left to lose, made them stronger than any enemy they faced. The team was small, but it was composed of the very best, experienced soldiers, a few engineers who had worked on the space shuttles before the war, and a hacker who had cracked some of the alien systems before. Every person in that room was ready to die, if it meant giving Earth a fighting chance. The plan was straightforward. A small, modified shuttle would infiltrate the station through an unguarded sector, relying on human ingenuity and sheer guts. Once inside, the team would disable the station's weapon systems, plant explosives in the reactor core, and then get out. The tricky part? Getting past the aliens' defenses undetected. As the shuttle's launch window neared, the tension among the team members was palpable. The hum of machinery and the sound of soft boots on metal echoed through the hangar. Rachel stood at the shuttle's entrance, eyes sharp, heart steady. She knew this was a turning point. If they failed, the war could be lost. "We're going in now," Rachel said, her voice calm, despite the gravity of the situation. "Stay focused. We've trained for this. We've fought for this. We're taking the fight to them." The doors of the shuttle sealed, and the team made their way into the blackness of space. The journey to Zar was brief but harrowing. They traveled in near silence, only the sound of their breathing filling the shuttle. Outside, the stars burned cold and distant, offering no comfort. Inside, the team was focused, every second counted. When the shuttle arrived at Zar, they saw it for the first time, an enormous structure, the size of a city, floating in the cold void. It was a marvel of alien engineering, with sleek curves and shimmering surfaces that reflected the distant light of the sun. But Rachel's thoughts were not on its beauty. The station was a weapon, and it had to be destroyed. The shuttle maneuvered carefully toward an unshielded docking port on the far side of the station. The crew moved with military precision, each member understanding their role. They had no room for error. One mistake, and the entire mission could be compromised. As they entered the station's docking bay, Rachel felt the familiar surge of adrenaline. It was a feeling she had learned to embrace, because if she didn't, she wouldn't survive. The team disembarked and quickly moved to their objective, the central control room, where the alien systems could be manipulated. The station was eerily quiet. Empty corridors stretched endlessly, illuminated by harsh, alien lights. There was a hum of machinery, energy flowing through the station, but no sign of the invaders. It was as if the aliens were confident no one would dare attack them. The silence was broken by the voice of Marcus, the Resistance hacker. His face was lit by the glow of his console. "I've hacked into their security systems. We're good for now. Let's move." Rachel signaled to her team, and they pressed forward. The deeper they went into the station, the more oppressive the atmosphere became. They could feel the weight of the invaders' presence, even though they hadn't encountered a single soldier. It was as if the station itself knew they were intruders. But there was no turning back. They had a job to do. As they reached the reactor core, Rachel's heart raced. This was the most dangerous part of the mission. If they failed here, the entire station could go into lockdown, trapping them forever. But with steady hands, the team set the charges and began their withdrawal. The station's alarms suddenly blared. The invaders knew. The alarms sounded like a death knell, reverberating through the sterile corridors of Zar. Red lights flashed, casting everything in a blood-hued glow. The team froze, a chill of dread running through them. It was a moment of pure panic, a split-second decision could mean their end. But Rachel Duval was no stranger to danger. Her mind worked quickly, shifting into combat mode. "We've been compromised," Rachel snapped, her voice cold and authoritative. Move now, we don't have much time. The team didn't hesitate. They knew exactly what to do. The explosives were set to detonate in 15 minutes, but the countdown had just started, and every second counted. They had to get back to the shuttle, or they would be caught in the explosion, if they even made it that far. The station was designed for defense, and every part of it seemed to come alive with threats. Marcus, the hacker, was already working frantically at his console, desperately trying to reroute the security systems. I've locked out some of their automated defenses, but I can't hold them for long. We need to move faster. Rachel turned to the team. Secure the exits. We're not getting caught here. The corridor in front of them suddenly filled with an eerie, mechanical hiss, and then the unmistakable sound of alien soldiers approaching. The aliens, tall, armored, and deadly, were moving toward their position. There were no words, just a primal drive to eliminate any threat. They had been alerted to the humans' presence. Get into formation, Rachel barked, taking a knee and preparing her weapon. We fight our way through. The rest of the team fell into line, the weight of the situation making their movements precise, calculated. Their weapons, adapted from alien technology they'd scavenged from previous battles, glowed faintly as they powered up. The team had learned to use the invaders' own tools against them, and in this moment, it felt like their only chance of survival. The first alien soldier rounded the corner. It moved with unnatural speed, its multi-jointed limbs propelling it with an almost predatory grace. But the human team was ready. As soon as the alien stepped into their line of sight, the first shot rang out. The weapon's blast hit the alien square in the chest, sending it staggering back. The alien retaliated with a high-pitched screech, and the air was filled with rapid, pulsing shots from its weapon. The blast narrowly missed Rachel, but it tore through the wall behind her, leaving a jagged hole. Her heart pounded in her chest as she returned fire, the sound of gunshots echoing down the metallic halls. Keep moving! Rachel shouted. The rest of the team followed, darting through the corridors, engaging with the alien forces as they went. The firefight was brutal, every corner a potential death trap, every hallway a gauntlet. The aliens were relentless, but the humans had something the invaders didn't: sheer, unyielding determination. They didn't just fight for survival, they fought for a future. Marcus hacked into a nearby control panel, sealing the doors behind them. That'll slow them down for a minute, but we're on borrowed time. It felt like hours had passed by the time they reached the shuttle bay. Sweat soaked Rachel's brow, but there was no time to rest. The shuttle was still docked, but the countdown clock on Marcus's wrist was ticking down faster than she would have liked. Every second that passed felt like an eternity. Suddenly, the sound of footsteps echoed from the hallway. The alien forces were closing in. We need to go, Rachel said, urgency in her voice. The team rushed into the shuttle, moving with practiced efficiency. As soon as the doors closed behind them, Marcus slammed the console, engaging the launch sequence. Outside, the alien station loomed, vast and powerful, but the humans weren't going to let it stand. They had done what they came to do. Now, they just had to escape. The shuttle's engines roared to life, shaking as it detached from the station. The massive station began to drift away, but not before the team heard the unmistakable sound of alien reinforcements pouring into the bay. It wouldn't be long before they were pursued. We've got incoming, said one of the soldiers, eyes fixed on the radar screen. They're launching interceptors. Rachel's heart raced. The shuttle's small size made it fast, but it was far from invincible. The alien craft were faster, more maneuverable, and far better equipped for space combat. Hold on, Rachel muttered under her breath, taking the controls. The shuttle shot forward, the force of the acceleration throwing them all back in their seats. They maneuvered through the debris field surrounding the station, dodging laser fire that lit up the darkness like lightning strikes. Every blast was a reminder that they weren't out of danger yet. Then, the countdown timer on the console flashed red. The explosives, planted deep in Tsar's reactor core, were close to detonating. 5 minutes, Marcus said, his voice tight with strain. Rachel gritted her teeth. They had to make it out before the explosion, or the entire operation would have been for nothing. The station's shockwave would obliterate anything within its radius. The shuttle zoomed through space, narrowly avoiding a laser blast that exploded just behind them. Rachel's hands moved with expert precision, guiding the shuttle through a hair-raising series of evasive maneuvers. "We're almost there," one of the soldiers called, his voice full of tension. As the shuttle darted closer to the edge of the system, a massive explosion echoed behind them. The shockwave rippled through space, and the vast alien station Zar erupted in a burst of blinding light. The explosion was so immense that it lit up the void, casting shadows over everything in its wake. A wave of heat even reached the shuttle, despite the distance. Rachel allowed herself a moment of relief, but it was short-lived. They were still being pursued. "We've got to get out of here, now," Rachel said, her voice determined. Full speed ahead. With one last burst of energy, the shuttle surged forward, narrowly escaping the gravitational pull of the station's destruction. They had made it. But the war was far from over. The explosion of Zar was a victory, but not a decisive one. As the shockwave rippled through the fabric of space, the crew of the shuttle had barely escaped. Rachel Duval, sweat beading on her brow, took a deep breath, steadying herself against the still shaking walls of the small craft. The mission had been a success in the narrowest sense, but it was far from enough to end the war. The team had made it out, but they couldn't afford to rest. Zar had been a vital link in the aliens' control over Earth, but it was not their only weapon. The invaders were powerful, and their military presence was far more widespread than any human could have anticipated. "We've got company," one of the soldiers called from the rear of the shuttle, his voice urgent. Rachel glanced over to the radar. Alien ships were closing in on them fast. Despite the distance they had gained, the invaders were relentless. "Shields up. Weapons hot," she barked. "We've got one shot at this." The crew braced themselves as the shuttle rocketed away from the wreckage of the alien station. Rachel's hands were steady on the controls, her mind calculating every move, every possible escape route. She could feel the pulse of adrenaline, the drive to survive. But there was more at stake than just their lives now. They had delivered a blow to the invaders' command structure, but if the humans didn't continue fighting, that victory would mean nothing. The alien ships on their tail fired in quick bursts, their deadly beams streaking through the void. Rachel had no choice but to maneuver the shuttle into a zigzag pattern, narrowly dodging the incoming fire. Every second that passed, more enemy ships swarmed in from the distance. "Hold on," Rachel muttered, setting her jaw as she veered sharply to the left. The shuttle spun through the darkness, narrowly avoiding a barrage of energy blasts. The alien ships were faster, and their weapons more precise, but she had the advantage of unpredictability. "We can't outrun them forever," Marcus, the hacker, said from the back. "Their ships are faster, and we're running low on fuel. We need a plan." Rachel's mind raced. They needed to make it back to Earth and report their success to the rest of humanity. The explosion of Zar had weakened the invaders' hold over their orbital operations, but it wouldn't take long for the invaders to regroup. They couldn't let that happen. The resistance needed more time. Earth needed more time. "We'll head to the asteroid field," Rachel said decisively. "We can lose them in the debris. If we're lucky, we can shake them off." The crew nodded in agreement. They had no better option. The asteroid field was a treacherous, unpredictable maze of rock and ice, but it would provide the cover they needed to get back to Earth. They had to take the risk. As the shuttle darted toward the asteroid field, the alien ships pursued them relentlessly. The space around them was suddenly filled with the scattered, jagged remnants of rocks and debris, a deadly maze of obstacles. Rachel's heart pounded as she expertly navigated the shuttle through the field, avoiding rocks the size of mountains, while the alien ships struggled to follow. "We've got one ship coming in fast from the rear," one of the soldiers reported, his voice tense. "They're trying to flank us." Rachel's eyes narrowed. She could feel the pressure mounting. "Prepare to fire on my mark," she said, her voice calm but firm. We're not going down without a fight. The shuttle shuddered as another wave of alien fire slammed into their shields. The energy levels dropped quickly, and the lights inside the shuttle flickered. Shields are at 30%, Marcus called out, his face pale. We can't take much more. Rachel's fingers danced over the console, running through calculations in her head. The asteroid field was their only chance, but if they couldn't shake the enemy soon, they would be sitting ducks. The alien ships were relentless. In a moment of clarity, Rachel made a split-second decision. She swung the shuttle into a narrow gap between two massive asteroids, the hull scraping dangerously close to the surface. The alien ship pursuing them followed, too close. A massive rock was ahead, and Rachel pushed the throttle, forcing the shuttle into a sharp turn. The alien ship, too focused on its prey, wasn't prepared. It slammed into the asteroid, sending a shockwave that rippled through space. The blast was powerful enough to momentarily blind Rachel, and she had to fight to regain control of the shuttle. One down, Rachel said, her voice tight. But there were still more. With their pursuers momentarily distracted by the crash, the shuttle ducked deeper into the asteroid field, the rocky debris blocking any clear shots. The remaining alien ships hesitated, momentarily unsure of where their prey had gone. This is our shot, Marcus said. We can make it. I'll send a signal to Earth's fleet to intercept them when we break out. Rachel nodded, focusing on her evasive maneuvers. The shuttle darted between asteroids, twisting and turning, using every bit of skill she had to keep them alive. The remaining alien ships were still hunting them, but they had lost their lead. Then, as Rachel rounded a massive asteroid, she saw it, a faint speck of blue and green in the distance. Earth. Home. We're almost there, Rachel breathed, heart racing. Prepare for final approach. But the enemy wasn't done yet. The remaining alien ships were closing in again, more aggressively than before. We've got to break their formation, Rachel said, as her hands tightened on the controls. On my mark. She waited for the perfect moment, the perfect alignment. The last alien ships were so focused on them, they weren't paying attention to the debris surrounding them. Now! Rachel shouted. She slammed the throttle forward, the shuttle surging ahead at maximum speed, cutting through the asteroid field like a blade. The alien ships tried to follow, but they were forced to dodge rocks and debris, losing precious time. With every ounce of strength, Rachel guided the shuttle out of the field, into the open space above Earth's atmosphere. They had done it. The alien ships, now too far behind, couldn't follow them any longer. The fight was over for now. But the war was far from won. The shuttle's engines whined as they cut through Earth's upper atmosphere, finally entering the comforting embrace of the planet's orbit. Inside, the crew was silent, each member battered by the intensity of the escape. Rachel Duvall sat at the helm, her fingers still gripping the controls, as if the ship might suddenly slip from her grasp. The heart-pounding fear that had gripped her during the firefight was now replaced by a fierce, burning determination. We made it, Marcus said, his voice hoarse, a thin smile spreading across his face. But we've still got work to do. Rachel didn't respond immediately. She was watching Earth, the blue and green marble that had once seemed so fragile, now the symbol of everything humanity was fighting for. Her mind was already moving ahead, planning the next steps. Okay, everyone, she said after a moment. We've dealt a significant blow to the invaders, but there's still more to do. We've weakened their command structure, but the war isn't over. We need to hit them hard again, while they're reeling from the loss of Tsar. It's our time to take back control. The rest of the team nodded in agreement. They had come so close to death on their mission to infiltrate Tsar, and though they were battered and bruised, they were alive. And as long as they were alive, there was hope. Rachel glanced at the radar. Earth's military fleet was already moving into position to intercept any remaining alien vessels. Her heart swelled with pride. The planet's fighters, once fractured and uncoordinated, had found their rhythm. Resistance groups from every corner of the globe had joined forces, and now Earth was united, ready to strike back. But there was no time to celebrate. "We'll rendezvous with Earth's fleet in 20 minutes, Rachel said, snapping back into focus. "Prepare for immediate deployment. I'm sending out a message to every resistance group on the planet. It's time to rally the troops." On the surface of Earth, the world had been shaken, but it had not been broken. The damage from the alien occupation was widespread, and the scars of their brutal reign would not easily fade. But where there had once been fear, there was now a spark of defiance. As Rachel's message went out across the globe, resistance leaders and ordinary citizens alike began to stir. The defeat of Tsar had been the first real victory in a war that had been dominated by the alien invaders. News of the attack spread like wildfire, reaching every city, every town, every corner of Earth. And with it came a rallying cry: "Humanity will not fall. We will fight until the end." Across the globe, people began to organize. Citizens who had once cowered under the invaders' reign took to the streets, forming militias and resistance cells. Soldiers from all over the world readied their weapons, their spirits lifted by the knowledge that victory was possible. In the ruins of a once proud city, General Rafael Alvarez stood on a makeshift stage, speaking to a group of ragtag fighters. His face was grim, but there was fire in his eyes. "They think they can crush us. They think we're weak. But they haven't seen what humanity is capable of when we fight back. We've shown them we can strike at their heart, and now it's time to finish what we started. We are the storm, and the aliens will learn the true meaning of human resistance." The crowd cheered, their voices rising in unison, a unified roar that reverberated through the broken streets. Back in orbit, Rachel prepared for the most dangerous phase of the war. Her shuttle had rendezvoused with Earth's fleet, and now the time for evasive maneuvers was over. The next attack would be one that would make the aliens rethink their entire strategy. Rachel and her team, along with the newly reinforced Earth forces, would assault the remaining alien strongholds. The plan was simple: hit them where it hurt, attack their supply lines, destroy their remaining military infrastructure, and disrupt their ability to regroup. They would make sure the invaders never had the chance to recover. The atmosphere inside the shuttle was tense as the crew suited up for their next mission. The fight was far from over. Every step they took now could be their last. But there was a new sense of purpose in the air. The message was clear: humanity would not go quietly into the night. "We take this fight to their doorstep," Rachel said as she looked each of her team members in the eye. "We show them exactly why they should have never tried to conquer Earth." The battle would rage across multiple fronts, with human forces striking with overwhelming force. Every resistance group on the planet would launch coordinated attacks against alien supply depots, military bases, and energy hubs. From the Arctic Circle to the jungles of Africa, humanity was preparing for the final push. On the ground, soldiers faced the invaders with renewed fervor. The fight was personal now. The invaders had taken everything from them: families, homes, livelihoods. And they would pay the price for it. As Rachel watched Earth's fleet prepare to launch, her heart surged with pride. The war had come to this, a final stand. If they failed, Earth would fall. But if they succeeded, humanity would rise like a phoenix from the ashes, stronger than ever before. And in that moment, she knew one thing for certain: humanity's fight wasn't just about survival. It was about proving that no matter how advanced the enemy, no matter how powerful the invader, humanity would never be subjugated. "Let's end this," Rachel said, a fire in her eyes. As the first wave of fighters launched from Earth's military base, Rachel Duvall's shuttle joined them in the fray. They streaked into space, joining the unified fleet in a deadly dance of destruction. The alien forces, already wounded, were now on the defensive. But the war was far from over. There would be no easy victory, no final blow that would end the battle. Humanity would fight for every inch of their home, every shred of their freedom. The stars above Earth burned bright, a million distant fires stretching across the dark void. Yet, for the soldiers in the vast expanse of space, it felt as though they were about to extinguish them all with the weight of their resolve. The final battle had begun. Rachel Duvall's shuttle was at the forefront of the Earth fleet, leading the charge into the heart of enemy territory. Her pulse thrummed with adrenaline, but her mind was laser-focused. The aliens had underestimated humanity. They had thought them weak, fragmented. They had thought wrong. Beside her, the fleet was a formidable force, ships from every nation, every resistance group that had risen from the ashes of Earth's fractured past. Now united, they were poised to strike back with everything they had. "We're moving into position," Marcus said, his voice calm but full of tension. "The alien stronghold's just ahead. They're preparing for a counterattack." Rachel's eyes narrowed, scanning the view ahead of them. The alien flagship loomed large, a hulking mass of dark steel and alien architecture. It was the heart of their power, a symbol of their control. But that symbol was about to shatter. "Prepare for all-out assault," she said, voice firm with the weight of command. "We hit them with everything we've got." The first wave of fighters surged forward, missiles and energy blasts lighting up the void. Alien warships retaliated with deadly accuracy, their weapons slicing through the darkness. But Earth's fleet was prepared. The fighters moved in tight formations, coordinated with military precision. Every shot counted, every maneuver calculated. The first salvo tore through the alien defenses, but the invaders retaliated quickly, sending shockwaves across space. The battle was fierce. Earth's fleet clashed with the invaders in a storm of explosions, laser fire, and shattered debris. Ships on both sides disintegrated as weapons tore through shields and hulls alike. The battle was chaotic, but the humans had one thing the invaders couldn't replicate: unity. Rachel's shuttle weaved through the madness, her fingers dancing over the controls as she expertly evaded enemy fire. The alien ships were relentless, their weapons precise, but she was faster, more unpredictable. "Enemy reinforcements incoming," Marcus said. "They're bringing in more ships from the other side of the system." Rachel didn't flinch. "They think they can overwhelm us with numbers? They've got another thing coming." The shuttle dove through the chaos, heading straight for the alien flagship. The larger Earth vessels had taken on the alien fleets, their shields glowing bright as they absorbed the brunt of the attack. But Rachel knew their best chance of winning would be to take down the heart of the invaders' power. "We're going in," she said. "Prepare for boarding. We end this now." The shuttle's engines roared as it surged toward the massive alien flagship. The battlefield around them was a web of destruction, but Rachel didn't hesitate. Her team was ready. "Focus on the entrance," she ordered. "We need to breach their defenses and get to the command center." The shuttle rocked as it shot through enemy fire, shields crackling under the strain. The alien flagship's defenses were fierce, but they were weakening. The assault from Earth's fleet was making a difference. They reached the docking bay. It was their only chance. "Now!" Rachel barked, her voice sharp as she launched the shuttle toward the bay's open doors. With a deafening screech, the shuttle collided with the alien station's outer hull, the force of the impact shaking the entire ship. For a brief moment, there was silence. Then the doors to the shuttle's compartment hissed open, and Rachel and her team stormed into the alien stronghold, weapons drawn. Inside the flagship, the alien soldiers were waiting. They had expected the humans to break. They had expected the resistance to fall. But they hadn't counted on humanity's fierce resolve. Rachel and her team fought through the corridors, taking out alien soldiers with precision and speed. Each victory brought them closer to their objective, the alien command center. But it wasn't just about the mission. It was about sending a message that would echo across the stars. "We're almost there," Rachel shouted. "Stay focused." The team moved with practiced efficiency, clearing the way through the massive structure. Every room was a battlefield, every hall a kill zone. But they pressed on, never slowing, never hesitating. Finally, they reached the heart of the flagship, the control room. The massive chamber pulsed with alien energy, the walls lined with strange consoles and glowing interfaces. But standing at the center was the alien leader, tall, imposing, and radiating an aura of menace. Rachel's heart pounded as she raised her weapon, but she didn't fire immediately. The alien leader's cold eyes locked onto hers, and for a moment, there was nothing but silence. "You cannot win," the alien leader spoke in a voice like thunder, reverberating through the chamber. "You are nothing but insects to us. We will crush you." Rachel didn't flinch. "You already tried." With a battle cry, she and her team opened fire. The alien leader raised a hand, deflecting some of the blasts with a force field, but it wasn't enough. The humans had the advantage now. The alien soldiers around them tried to fight back, but they were outnumbered, outgunned, and outclassed. It didn't take long before the alien leader collapsed, his last breath escaping as the control center erupted in a brilliant flash of light. Rachel stood over the fallen leader, her chest heaving with exhaustion. "That's how humanity fights," she said, her voice low but full of pride. The battle wasn't over, but this was the turning point. The command center was theirs, and with it, the keys to the alien fleet. Back on Earth, as news of the victory spread across the globe, people erupted in celebration. The invaders had lost their leader, their heart. The war wasn't over yet, but the tide had turned. Rachel looked out at the stars, her heart still heavy with the weight of everything they had endured. The cost had been great, but humanity had proven that they would never back down. No matter the odds. "We've won the first victory," she whispered to herself. "But we'll finish this together." And with that, humanity's fight for their home was far from over, but they were no longer fighting alone. The war was theirs to win.